Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Muslima. I'm your host Zara Pedersen and I'm sitting here with a little turtle on the desk with me. So every now and again I might, I don't know, get distracted. I'm doing like a house sitting and it was originally like just for like the cats and the dog. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, she's got a turtle. And she didn't actually tell me she has a turtle. Luckily, turtles are not, they're not requiring a lot from you. But I'm like, girl, like you should have told me he's super cute. I don't even know how do I know if it's a girl or a boy? I'm just calling it a he. Anyway, he's on the table. I've decided to let him out of his little cage to stretch his legs, and I fear that he's just not getting enough attention, like compared to the one dog and the 6 cats around here. And I've certainly not been giving him enough attention, so I've decided to do better. And now he's on the dinner table, just walking around, stretching his cute little scaly legs. So yeah, every now and then he'll try and climb up onto my laptop, but we won't have that. But anyway, just so you know, I just want you to feel the vibe of what I'm dealing with right now, and that is turtle on the table. Okay, anyway, today's episode, we are going to talk about ways that you are pushing your manifestation away from you. What things you could be doing right now that is basically postponing the manifestation, what's making it not come around. And I'll give you a few examples today, and then maybe we'll do a part 2, on a different episode. So we'll just start off straight in there, and I'm actually just going to go straight in with something that you'll have heard me say before, but I'm still like, it needs to be said and we all need to be reminded of it. You're still trying to figure out the how it's going to happen, how the thing's going to come into your life. And let me tell you, it is one of the biggest ways to waste your time when you are trying to manifest something. Because it's not your job to figure out how the thing's going to come into your life. That's Allah's job. Allah is the one who knows everything that's going on in every corner of the world and the universe, and he can see where there's little gaps and loopholes and opportunities and things that could come into your life from unexpected ways. And not you. You are so limited in your knowledge, your understanding, your perspective, your outlook. And so you will not always be able to see the ways that things can come into your life. And this is a huge way that you're limiting yourself if you're thinking to yourself, but I don't have, like, one of the very popular things that I hear a lot from a lot of you is, how am I supposed to meet somebody because I don't go out? Like I don't go out socializing as much, or I go to the same places, or I'm constantly working, whatever. And I'm like, girl, why are you limiting your options of finding a potential partner to only when you go out socializing? You could be standing waiting on the bus or the train. You could be parking your car and there he is, parking next to you. It could be a colleague that's like a new colleague starting. Sir, madam, whatever you are, move away. You're so cute with your little crooked mouth. It's got a crooked mouth. I don't know. I've never seen a turtle with a crooked mouth. Anyway, see, I get distracted by the turtle, but I just I really love it. So it could be a new colleague that starts at your workplace. It could be just like a complete random something on the street. Somebody smiles at you, somebody comes up to you, maybe you meet, their friend, but you just haven't met them yet. And there's a housewarming party, a celebration of some sort, and there you go. But the point is that we don't see all of these avenues. And if we did, probably life would be a little bit boring, because what's the fun of knowing everything that's about to come? Part of the life is in the mystery of not knowing, right? Even if at first it might sound a little bit scary or daunting. But, you trying to figure out how something's going to come into your life is basically just you blocking it, because in your mindset of it, like in your understanding of it, you're like, I don't see how it's going to come. And so immediately you will limit the reality or chances of you having it. So immediately you're attacking it from a perspective of, this is definitely not going to come because I don't even know where it's going to come from. And in reality, Allah probably could have seen 100 ways that it could have come into your life already. But you're narrowing your perspective and your outlook, meaning you're not even open to seeing it from other avenues than the one that you know and expect it to come from. And this is such a damaging mindset, because it doesn't keep your energy and your mind open for surprises, to look outside of what you know and what you have experienced in the past, to see something new come into your life. And that is how you could be essentially limiting or postponing or pushing away the manifestation coming into your life. You really need to be so energetically open to the fact that while you might not be able to understand how something is physically going to happen in your reality, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not limited by that narrow-mindedness that we have in this dunya, because our knowledge is limited and narrow-minded. And when I say narrow-minded, maybe that's not the right word I'm using. I'm not sure if that's the right word I'm using. I feel like it is, so we're just going to stick with it. But that's not, Allah is not coming from that same place. Allah is coming from a place of all-knowing, all-seeing, all-hearing. And so he knows where he's going to introduce it from. But he requires for us to have tawakkul, to trust and have faith that if it is meant for us, then Allah will find a way for it to come to us. If it is meant for us, then nothing can hold it back. And if it is never meant for us, then there's nothing we can do to bring it closer to us. So we really need to have that faith, trust, and understanding that the how of something happening in our life or coming into our life is never any of our business. Literally none of our business. It is only the business of Allah, and we should allow Allah to deal with that. And we just need to do the groundwork, which brings me into the next point, which is you're just not living in the reality of the thing yet. And now that sounds a little bit cryptic when I say it like that, doesn't it? But what it means is essentially that you're not living in that reality. What did I just literally just, excuse me, let me say the exact same words, but put my tone ever so slightly different. Do you get it now? I'm so sorry. I'd like to think I'm funny. I'm sorry. Oh gosh, am I the only one who makes myself laugh like hilariously? Like, I'm one of the funniest people I know. But anyway, getting back, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm so distracted today. So what it actually means is just you're not living as though it's already here. You're not taking action as if it's a non-given. You are not fully living in the trust that it is coming your way. So your actions are still living in the past. It's still living with the limitations. It's still living with the old mindset. It is still living in the mindset of lack, instead of living in the I trust and believe that it is on its way. And so I'm already stepping into that reality by taking the actions that reality would require of me. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few examples because I can understand that this sometimes, can be a little bit difficult to explain without an actual example. If you want to, I'm going to use an example that I'm currently in, which is I'm trying to lose a few pounds. Nothing too much. I'm really loving my physique these days. Like, I feel really good, but at the same time, I'm also like, oh, the clothes are shrinking for some reason, and so maybe I should shrink a little bit with them, make it fit again. I don't know, but it's definitely not my fault. It's definitely the clothes' fault. But I can't afford a whole new wardrobe, or I just don't want to afford a whole new wardrobe really either. But so I'm trying to lose a few pounds. So I can sit back and be like, oh, but one day I want to be the girl who just kind of wakes up and eats healthy and then goes to the gym, blah 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 blah. So like, there's a set of things that I imagine that future Zara, who's already lost the pounds, like the way that she will dress, the way she'll carry herself, the way she'll prioritize certain foods over others, the way that she'll prioritize walking, sleeping, exercising, managing stress, things like that we all know have an impact on weight gain and weight loss. And so instead of constantly pushing that version of myself away and saying, oh, that's that future Zara, that's not until Zara has lost the weight that she will become that person. It is that I'm already stepping into the role, meaning I'm already now moving my body more, living in accordance to that future reality of what that person will be. Quite often when we're thinking about the thing that we want, we're thinking about the end destination only. And then like quite often we'll have like, oh, when I start making money, then I'll do these things. When I have lost the weight, then I'll start dressing this way. When I get that job, then I'll take myself seriously and dress up for work. When I X, Y, and Z, then I'll start, and it's the when then. That's the mentality. When something happens, then I will do something accordingly. And in reality, we have to actually bring that when into now, because the truth is that the when scenario can't happen unless those actions are being taken now. Meaning you're not going to be a fit person unless you start exercising. You know, it's not going to just suddenly just change and then you're a fit person. You're going to have to start where you are right now and then you'll be a fit person, right? In order to get that job where you have to look a specific way or dress in a certain way, or you think that that's the certain way you want to project yourself, then you need to start projecting yourself that way already today in order to gain the confidence to perhaps apply for that job or start taking yourself seriously in that role. If you want to get married one day, but you're thinking, when I get married, then I will take myself seriously in terms of, I don't know, my Islam, my political views, my finances, my whatever, like things that quite often we have a tendency to kind of push forward into, like, oh, when I get married, I'll worry about that. And it's like, no, because we're bringing the energy of who we want to be into the reality of now. So we're not postponing who we can be until a certain outcome. We're already stepping into it. And by stepping into that quote unquote future reality, we're bringing the reality closer to ourselves, because those actions and steps and the mindsets and the little habits that that person in your vision of future self is doing is actually the little link between now to then. Okay, from now to then. That is the difference. That is the thing that's going to actually get you to that state. And also, that is the thing that makes it easier for your mindset to change in accordance with the thing that you're trying to achieve and go towards. So when you start taking the actions, you start believing more, you start seeing the changes, you start feeling the changes. And now all of a sudden you see that it is a reality for yourself rather than something that you can only aspire to at some point when all your ducks are in a row and everything's in line and, you know, you've caught up on everything else, which, by the way, is never going to happen, any of those things. So instead of putting it out into the future, you're bringing it into the reality right now. And then little by little, you'll notice that your mentality is changing. Your life is looking more like that future version that you keep putting or postponing into, like, I don't know, sometimes in the future when things are the way that they're meant to be and the reality is as you've always wanted it to be. Okay, speaking now a little bit about what I've already said about mindset. And one thing that you could be doing that is, again, also postponing the manifestation and pushing it further away is you're simply not doing the mindset work. You're doing all you have heard me speak about this before, and I continuously I will continue to speak on this because I still see so many of you just not doing it and just postponing it, because let's be real, it's the boring work. And when I say boring work, I'm talking about, it's not Instagrammable, or like, you know, it's not like something that you can take a picture of and share on your socials and be like, look, so cute, my vision board for the next year or for the next month, whatever. And it's not like this is the cute affirmations that I'm repeating on the daily. It's none of those things. And if anything, it's actually the boring work is in, you know, it's hard. It's hard, which makes it kind of boring because it can be repetitive. It can be slow at times. You know, it can take time to see and feel the difference, the changes happening. And also it can be difficult sort of emotionally to have to go through, because sometimes you have to open doors within yourself that you've tried to keep closed to try and protect yourself in the past, which at this point, you know, we're not trying to protect ourselves so much that we are isolating ourselves from the best versions of ourselves. We are trying to protect ourselves from staying stuck and never evolving. And so it can be worth opening certain doors that we've closed off in the past to be able to move past things, to change our mindset, our belief, the way that we think, the way that we operate on a daily basis. And this is why it's so important to do. It is, I've always or for those of you who may be new here or just don't know, I used to be a personal trainer back in London years ago, and I did it for quite a few years. And while it is so annoying, our mindset really lines up with the the quote, the saying, the really famous quotable, like, if whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I really witnessed that when I started personal training and I was working with women. And one thing that I immediately noticed was the women who came in and were like, oh, this is going to happen, and they had like this mindset of like, you know what, I'm done. It's going to happen now. We're not trying this again in 6 months. Like, this is it. And I'm so ready to do the things that is required. And, you know, I might not be great right now, but I can learn, and please just don't give up on me, and so on and so forth. Like, they came in with this can do, will learn, teach me better attitude, because failure was simply not an option anymore for them. And then there were other women who came in and was like, it's just never worked with me. Like, I'll be so surprised if you can help me. Like, I'd be so surprised if I lost even a pound, or I've never managed to lose even a pound. I work out all the time, I eat so healthy, and la da 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 da. And of course, they never really did. Like, I'm sorry if I'm calling you out a little bit here as well, but like, and listen, I was a coach who also worked with women with PCOS and stuff. So I understand the challenges when it comes to trying to lose weight. And there are certainly a handful of women out there who really struggle. But even in those scenarios, it is never impossible. There is always a way around it, right? But there would be women out there who'd come in and like their mindset would already be like, this is not working anyway. Like, why am I even here? I'm doing it because, you know, I'm kind of hoping for a holy grail or something. Like, they'd expect me to come in with like some type of secret that they'd never heard of, or for me to literally give them the excuse and be like, yeah, you're right. Like, to validate that, you know what, and nobody can help you. You are the exception. Like, you can starve yourself and you would never even lose an inch. So, you know, but they would always be right, because they came in with that mindset of, it's not going to work for me. So immediately they'd thrown in the towel, so the things wouldn't work, and the whatever their goal was, it wouldn't come to them, because they weren't in it really. They really weren't. So they'd make more excuses around their dieting. And when I say diet, like, I wasn't giving them restrictive diets or anything like that. I was giving them, well, it is a restrictive diet, but not like calorie wise. I was just saying, like, you know, eat healthy foods, like, and I would give them what foods to eat and stuff like that. And help them through with it. But generally speaking, I'd be like, you know what, as long as you're eating healthy and you're moving your body, you'll see the differences, and like just giving them the basics at the end of the day. But I wasn't like, oh, you have to be on a 1,200 calorie diet or anything. And, you know, I can't remember where I was going with that sentence, but because, you know, they'd start making more excuses for why they had to have this thing, or why they couldn't say no to a slice of cake, or why they couldn't make a healthy meal, or whatever, or why they didn't do the workouts that we'd planned. Whereas the girls who came in and the women who came in who with the mindset of like, this is going to happen now, I'm going to lose the weight, I'm going to see the results that I want because I'm investing in myself, and this is the right time, and I'm getting the help that I need in order to fulfill the desire, the need that I've always wanted but haven't been able to do for myself in the past. They would always get the results, and they didn't make the same excuses because they weren't as ready and willing to give up. And that's the difference in mindset. It is the vigor, the energy, the everything that you are going into it with. Because if you're going in with a mindset that's, whether subconsciously or consciously, telling you it's not going to work, there will be ways that you might not even see that where you're self-sabotaging, where you're literally just self-sabotaging. And that could be with you literally avoiding certain tasks. It could be that you're making more excuses for yourself. It could be that you're avoiding certain things. It could be, did I say that twice? I can't remember. Like, I literally just, my brain just did something really weird where I would feel like I said the same thing. I could have said the same thing, but if I did, it's probably because it was that important that it needed repeating. But that is the kind of mindset that will drive the behavior that'll essentially self-sabotage, that'll make you not succeed. And this is why mindset is important. Our actions are based off of our beliefs of what our mindset is. So if our belief is it's not going to work, our actions are going to reflect that. It is as simple as that. There's a reason why we're not jumping off tall buildings trying to fly, because we know we're not going to be able to fly. We're not creatures that can fly. right? But if people genuinely believe they could fly, do you know what they do? They go up on a tall building and jump off it. So, of course, if our belief is telling us that we can do something or we can't do something, our action is going to reflect that. If you're not working on your mindset, regardless of how boring or difficult or hard or whatever it might be, you are not going to get the results that you want, because you're ultimately always going to find ways to sabotage yourself, or you're going to find ways to, well, it's still sabotage, but like not do the work, or making excuses for yourself, or not believe in yourself, hesitate far too much, doubt yourself too much, not go fully in. And those things will stop you. They will stop you. And I know some of you will be like, but Zara, we're Muslims and we'll just make a dua, and so does it really matter if I'm, what I do? Yes, it does, because we already know. And again, a hugely quoted saying by Allah, I think it's actually in the Quran, I can't remember, it is in the Quran, I can't remember the surah, but where Allah says to us that He will not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. Meaning, yes, I will change things when you ask me in your dua, but your actions have to line up as well. And in order for your actions to line up, guess what has to line up as well? Your mindset. So I actually think it is so interesting the way that it is quoted in the Quran, the way that Allah said is to change what is within themselves. So, of course, that is the actions that we take, but within could very well be our beliefs, our mindset. What is the intention here? Is it to fail or is it to succeed? Is it that we trust and believe that it's going to happen and that Allah can create miracles where we cannot even see it? Even if we don't know how it's going to happen, we're still taking the actions and trusting and believing? Or are we walking around thinking that Allah is just wanting to punish us and Allah gives to everyone but us, and so as a result we just don't even do the work to begin with? Like, what's the mindset? Where are we stuck in this? Okay. Like, there's so many things I could really speak on in this specific topic, but I think I'm going to leave it here, because I think there's quite a few things already in this episode that you can work on already to start seeing the results. And these are some of the most popular, most common, that's the word I'm looking for, the most common things that I see in a lot of you when it comes to whether or not the manifestation is moving closer to you or if you're pushing it further away from you. No, actually, one more thing that I actually will say. 1 second. Turtle is on his way up. You're so cute. On his way up on my keyboard. Okay, so I'm actually going to add one more thing, because I really want to get this one in here in this episode as well also, which is your perception of Allah also has a very, very big role on your ability to manifest and bringing your manifestation closer to yourself. So Allah says to us in a hadith that He is to His servant what His servant thinks of him. That right there, like that, to me, that is the law of attraction, because it is like what you think is going to be the reality that you're living in. And Allah basically says the same thing. I am the way that you think of me. So if you think I'm evil to you. If you think I'm good to you. If you think I'm going to bless your life, I will bless your life. And ultimately, if your understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that Allah is looking to punish you, looking to humble you constantly in horrible ways, if Allah isn't giving unless you sacrifice a bunch of stuff, or that like Allah can't love you unconditionally, He only will love you based on certain conditions or whatever, like, then that is the Allah that you're going to get. But Allah, again, and I think it's so interesting, and I think it's such an underplayed hadith. Like, we all know of it, and then at the same time we've never really taken the time to really look into it from a perspective of like, what does this actually mean for me and my relationship with Allah? Because that is what it comes down to at the end of the day, is what is your relationship with Allah, and how does that reflect in your reality? Because my personal, and this is just my relationship with Allah, you all should create a personal relationship with Allah if you haven't already, and constantly work on it, of course, to improve it, make it better, make it stronger, so on and so forth. And a lot of that has to do with, of course, praying, fasting, speaking to Allah, making du'as, dhikr, remembrance of Allah, all of these things. But one thing as well is what you think of Allah. how do you perceive Allah? And to me personally, I perceive Allah to be literally my best friend. It's my best friend. Like, I know he's my king, my God, all of these things, but I see him as, in my world, like the best friend, the one that I will turn to in times of need, distress, gratitude, love, desperation, anything, any emotion. I will always go to Allah first, and I will confide in Allah. I will trust everything to Allah. I will I literally put my everything into Allah's hands, and I'm like, figure it out for me. Thank you very much. Allah to me is literally the everything. He is the everything, and I know that you're probably also thinking the same thing, but also how are you then reflecting it into your life, right? Allah is also to me the one who will punish, but he will punish the transgressors. And as long as I know that I'm doing what I can not to be a transgressor, and I'm doing everything I can to serve, I trust and believe that Allah is pleased with me and my efforts. I of course will ask Allah in every moment that I can to guide me in the right direction and to keep me from things that are going to harm me or hurt my relationship or my deen with Allah, like my relationship with Allah or my deen. But ultimately, I trust and believe that Allah wants me to succeed because he has chosen for me to believe in him. That is ultimately what it comes down to for me. I trust and believe that Allah wants me to succeed in this dunya because he wants me to go to heaven. He wants me to go to heaven, not because, and by the way, really listen to what I'm saying right now, because I am not saying I trust that I will go to heaven, because that is up to Allah to decide. That is not for me. I'm not saying that Allah is telling me, but I believe of Allah that the moment he says, I want you to be a Muslim, is because he wants you to go to heaven. Whether you do or not, that's then up to you and your actions and your intentions in this dunya. But Allah wants you to succeed. He wants his servants to succeed, and he's supporting us every step of the way. And so one of the things that I trust in that is, well, if Allah wants me to succeed, Allah doesn't want me to avoid praying because I'm working all the time because I can't make ends meet. I trust that Allah doesn't want me to feel resentful if all I want in this dunya is to be a wife or a mother, that he will not give me a partner or children, because Allah wants us to have faith in him. Allah wants us to believe in him. Allah wants us to have a good relationship with him, because he knows and understands that the trials and the tests of this dunya can distract us. He knows this. He knows it all too well because he's the one who created it. He created it to be the way that it is. So he knows that financial struggles can keep us up at night, can maybe make us make poor decisions, and things like that. But it requires of us, again, to trust in him, have that relationship with him, ask him for the change, and then be the change that we're also asking for him to grant us in this dunya. But my personal relationship is, of course, that Allah wants me to succeed. And if Allah wants me to succeed, he wants me to be able to have a dunya that is pleasing in one way or another to me, so that I am constantly grateful to Allah. And that doesn't mean a life without tests and trials and hardship, but it means that regardless of the tests and trials and hardships, that Allah will still answer my prayer. And because also he has promised it, when we call, he answers. There's not a dua that goes unanswered in this dunya or in the next. But it is so important for us to understand that our relationship with Allah really impacts the way that we take on this dunya, and whether or not we even feel comfortable asking Allah to bless us with the things that we want. And then also, going for it, changing our ways to bring those things closer to us, to give ourselves that chance of getting the things. Okay, now that I've said this last thing, I feel like this is a good place to leave it for today. There's a lot of things here to digest. As usual, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Either you can comment, if you're listening on Spotify, you can comment directly on the episodes, which some of you have done, and I'm so excited to see that it's working. So thank you so much for that. Or you can message me directly over on Instagram at Manifesting Muslimah. I prefer over on Instagram because I can send voice notes. So that's literally the only reason why I prefer you messaging me over on Instagram, other than other places. But yeah, Other than that, feel free to rate and review the show. It does help other new potential listeners to find the show and to listen to it. I've been getting so much beautiful feedback from a lot of you, and I'm just so happy that you're enjoying the show and that you're finding it helpful and beneficial for you one way or another. It makes me so happy, so grateful, and it makes me want to really focus on putting more content out for you, which reminds me, by the way, if you are interested in written content, from me, then sign up to my newsletter. It's absolutely free, and I send out an email every Friday with my thoughts on a specific topic, and there's always some little nuggets for you in there as well. So if you're enjoying the podcast, you might also enjoy the newsletter. All right, my darlings, that being said, I am going to love you and leave you, but until next time, please don't forget to live in love.